President Donald Trump has told you repeatedly on multiple stages what his intentions are for the Gaza Strip and the people of Palestine who have called that area home for generations. For generations, he has told you multiple times on multiple different stages what his intentions are. And there are people who are saying that it's preposterous that the United States would take over Gaza, that the United States would own Gaza. But this man said it again multiple times during the beginning of the 8th week of 2025. As a matter of fact, this man said in the Oval Office, this man said,
The Palestinians in the West Bank. Mr. President, in an interview this weekend, you said that Palestinians would not be guaranteed the right to return to Gaza if the U.S. were to develop it. What did you mean by that? And
we've spoken to a lot of Palestinians. They would love to leave Gaza if they could find a place to be. And I've spoken to various leaders of various countries in the not so distant area from where we're talking about, the Gaza Strip. And I think they were very positive about providing land. What we need is land. And if we could build a nice place for people to live safely, everybody in Gaza would do it. They've been persecuted. They've been spit on. They've been treated like trash. And they would love to get out of Gaza. But until now, they never had an alternative. Now they have an alternative. And as far as Hamas is concerned, you're seeing the real Hamas now with the hostages.
Mr. President, what if on Gaza, you're having
Who are you from where?
The Wall Street Journal, sir.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The Jordanian leader is coming in to see you.
Yeah.
Folks in Jordan have expressed
Tomorrow.
opposition to taking in more Gazans, more Palestinians. How are you going to convince him to do otherwise?
I think he'll take. I do think he'll take, and I think other countries will take also. They have good hearts. I think they'll take.
But what about the Palestinians who just won't leave? Our team has spoken to many in Gaza.
They're all going to leave when they have a place that's a better alternative. When they have a nice place that's safe, they're all going to leave. It's a hellhole right now.
But how are you so sure? Would the U.S. force them to leave?
You're going to see that they're all going to want to leave.
hello and welcome to the People's Brief, where I talk about news and events that impact Black, Brown, and queer communities. I get the information in so that you can get I get it in so you can get the news out. I promise you, I will not keep you long. Now, you just heard for yourself the president of these United States, Donald John Trump, say what his intentions were for Gaza. And I haven't heard the outrage from the American people that I would have expected to hear. There were entire movements of people who mobilized in this country, who created encampments on campus fighting for the liberation of the Palestinian people after the October 7th terrorist attacks of Hamas and the retaliation from the nation of Israel, but specifically from Benjamin Netanyahu and his government as they enacted a fierce retaliation, but also what was a clear genocide on the people of Palestine, specifically on the people of the Gaza Strip. People mobilized, encampments took place. We were marching for the lives, all eyes on Gaza. Where are those eyes now? Because now the threat is real. Now it's very real. A different kind of level of severity to what could very well happen to the people of Palestine. This is clearly the president of the United States of America, elected by the American people in a free and fair election in a democracy, saying that he wants to take the people of Palestine out of their region, out of their land, and not let them return. Trump says Palestinians won't be allowed back into Gaza under his ban. Where is the outrage? Luckily, we are seeing some response from the international community, and we're seeing a level of response that does equate to international support. This is the United Nations Secretary General who took the unusual step of specifically addressing what President Trump said, issuing a stark warning against any form of ethnic cleansing. If that doesn't let you know how serious this is on a national scale, that President Trump's threats, intentions, promises towards the Gaza Strip are real, I don't know what else could. He also said this directly again. This is letting you know what this represents, and not only do we have a strong response from the uh, United Nations Secretary General, we also have our G7 nations coming out, also speaking out against what's happening. This is an old picture of our G7 leaders. We don't have a new one yet. That with him and Trump, we may not be getting one, especially when you consider the aggression being shown towards our northern neighbors in Canada. We may not be getting one anytime soon, people. But our European allies have also been unequivocal in their opposition to what President Trump is saying. France's government characterized any forced displacement of Palestinians from Gaza as a serious violation of international law. And German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, I think that's how you say it. I'm probably saying it wrong, and that's crazy. That's crazy that I don't know how to pronounce the name of Germany's foreign minister, because at one point in time there will be so much news mentioning of these leaders that it would just be ingrained and automatic. Like if I had never read that name, I'll be able to say it. But now American news, the news that we're getting here in the United States, is only centered on one thing, way more so than ever before. And that's fucked up. That's really fucked up. And she called it unacceptable. The United Kingdom has also, England has also joined into this, adding its voice to the chorus of concern, emphasizing the fundamental right of Palestinian civilians to return to their homes and then rebuild their lives. Now, one thing under Trump's plan that we see, and I'll make this a little bit bigger. These are the leaders of Egypt and Jordan. One thing under his plan that I think needs to be kind of shared out is that he's saying that the displaced Palestinians, he's recommending that they go to Jordan, they go to Egypt, even though Jordan and Egypt have both said that they're not opening their borders to allow in these refugees. This is what they would be, displaced people. Now, President Trump isn't saying for them to come to the United States of America, where this nation can provide them with homes and financial support in their relocation, in their displacement. He's saying they can go to Jordan and go to Egypt, and those countries are saying, no, they can't come here. These nations, when you look at the response from Arab nations, has been particularly forceful against what President Trump is saying. In an unusual display of unity for these countries, for Egypt, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia, they issued a joint condemnation framing the proposal as a direct threat to regional stability and peace. The Palestinian Authority's president, let me go over, bear with me, this is a new approach. But again, I think that this is going to give us better quality in our video, I hope, and our sound. And hopefully you'll bear with me and you'll say this was a better way of sharing this information with you. The Palestinian Authority's president, Mahmoud Abbas, strongly rejected the plan, while Hamas characterized it as a recipe for generating chaos. A number of human rights organizations have also weighed in, with Amnesty International describing the proposal as both appalling and unlawful. Legal experts emphasize that forced population transfers constitute a serious violation of international humanitarian law and could potentially be classified as a crime against humanity under the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court. Can't imagine that they would not recognize something from Rome when we had the Roman salute being done by the non-elected president, Elon Musk. People, these threats are real and represent, in my opinion, something that should be really heavily discussed, debated, and known. Now, I'm going to keep my eyes on this. I'm going to continue to follow this. I'm going to continue to watch this, and I'll continue to bring you this in the People's Brief. There are many stories that we come across that hit the radar and then fall off the radar. And the next thing that we're going to talk about is this. This kid in Boston. We have this kid in Boston. And what this kid did was he and his friend, an accomplice, had a 15-year-old black kid come to a quarry in the area to play. And they then turned the play on him and began to attack him and began to attack the kid. I have my notes here. So it was in Goose Pond in Chatham, Massachusetts. And this kid is John Shireen, a white teenager who attempted to murder, to unalive a black child. And what some prosecutors clearly identified as a racially motivated attack. And he threw rocks at the kid. He got the kid to jump in some water, had the kid take off a life vest. And when the kid couldn't swim, and when he couldn't swim, he said he could not swim. He was struggling to breathe, struggling to catch his breath, and they called the kid George Floyd. And the penalty for this, and this is why it's current news, right? This happened back in 2023, but the verdict was just given. The verdict was given on February the 5th, 2025. And I'm not seeing people talk about this in the news either. So I wanted to bring it and put it on the People's Brief. His penalty is 30 months probation. 30 months probation for a racially motivated attempted murder. Maybe not, okay, maybe racially motivated manslaughter. Maybe racially motivated accidental attempted, I don't know, but he got 30 months of probation. This sends a devastatingly clear message that in America, attempting to drown a Black child while invoking George Floyd's murder merits less punishment than many receive for non-violent drug offenses. That is what the message is from this. And this is, again, I script my information when I take my notes. And that's usually how I deliver my content, is that I script it. I use a teleprompter app, but we're trying something different and kind of moving from that. But I want you to think about that. And I want you to really look at the facts of this case. I want you to check this one out. It's really, to me, heartbreaking. And I'm really disappointed that people aren't talking about this more. But I know probably because of so many things that's happening. But again, that's why I'm here as an independent journalist coming to you on YouTube to give you stories like this that should be covered, but that aren't being covered. Lots of statements have been released, but none of them, I think, really good. So here's the whole entire story. Again, after throwing rocks at their 15-year-old Black victim who couldn't swim, they forced him into water. Shireen then repeatedly submerged the struggling teen underwater while his accomplice mockingly called the gasping victim George Floyd. Only the intervention of a bystander, someone who came up, a bystander, prevented this from becoming a murder case. The details are not. They're unambiguous. They're clear. This wasn't, as Shireen's lawyer had called, a situation that unfortunately took a life of its own. This was attempted murder with a side of racist theater. Shireen pleaded guilty to attempted murder and assault with a dangerous weapon, charges that will likely carry significant prison time if the perpetrator and the victim's races were reversed. If the races of these two victims had been reversed, I firmly believe that you will be seeing a totally different prison sentence levied. Totally different. Totally different. This is this kid leaving the courtroom with his family, his attorneys. The victim, there's no pictures that I could find of him or his family. And probably that's a good thing. They're maintaining their privacy at this time and not wanting to be further put into the public spotlight over what happened. And I can't say that the justice here, that this man deserves a harsher punishment or penalty. When I wasn't there, when I wasn't on that jury, when I'm not that judge, rather, because I don't think we went to jury trial. When I'm not that judge. But what I can say is that we live in a country where we have all seen Black people punished far more harshly for something significantly less. We have seen that time and time and time and time again. We have people who have sat in jail for 40 years for very minor offenses, for not being able to pay bills. We've seen people sit in jails for theft and shoplifting, for drugs, where no human was harmed. And we see this case where this young man gets 30 months of probation. Very unfair. And some people are saying that, there are other things that are happening that's unfair, things that we've gotten used to seeing that maybe move America and move our world into a closer place of equity and fairness, like DEI, and not just DEI, but the recognition of cultural events, holidays, months, Indigenous Peoples Day, Indigenous Peoples Month, Holocaust Remembrance Day, Pride Month, things that we celebrate as a nation, as a world, that highlights the diversity of who we are and like brings us all together in solidarity around celebrating that diversity, respecting that diversity. And a big part of that has been the calendar and has been Google. Uh, or maybe it was. Maybe it was Google because it is now no more. It is now no more. The Google Calendar no longer includes the start of Black History Month, Pride Month, a number of holidays. It's over. Google, the Giants Take Calendar, which previously highlighted events for Black History Month to Holocaust Remembrance Day, now presents users with a sanitized version of timekeeping that conveniently overlooks centuries of cultural heritage and human struggle. Centuries of human struggle, cultural heritage now wiped out. No more Women's History Month, Pride Month, Indigenous Peoples Month, Jewish Heritage Month, or Hispanic Heritage Month. All gone. Once used to be automatically populated onto the Google Calendar, now taken away. You can add them back if you want to, but you have to manually do it. This calendar purge, of course, as we know, doesn't come in a vacuum. It arrives as major companies like Meta, Amazon, PayPal, Walmart have all chosen Target to roll back their DEI programs. All roll back the effort to not give people of color, women, people who are disabled, any extra consideration or advantage, but simply giving them due consideration where otherwise they wouldn't have been given it. That's what DEI does. It doesn't give you any extra opportunity. It doesn't open any doors. It just simply means that you can walk to the door without harm. You can walk to the door and then you can be seen standing outside. That is what it does. That is what it does. But it's been dismantled, heavily dismantled by the Republican Party with the final blow given to them by the recently elected Trump administration. That is where we are. And so to follow suit and support that efforts, Google says we're going to take out the cultural holidays. Take out the cultural holidays. Now, I know I'm going to limit my Google use. Time to head over to Bing and use it. Is it as good? No. No, it's not. But it's what we have to do. It's what we have to do to dissent. I don't know if there are other ways to dissent, but I'll be researching and seeing what else we could do to push back, to let Google know that we're unhappy, we're unpleased with this, but they do have a very strong monopoly. Not a whole lot we can do. I told you and promised you I would get the news in. I told you I would get it in so you get the news out. So I'm going to keep it brief, keep it short, and keep it moving. We're ending right here with these 3 stories for today. Got some good stuff coming up for tomorrow. I didn't want to put too much on today, and I'm already over time. So this went longer than it should have. So I'll try to cut it down even more. But let me know what you think about this new format. If it looks better, if it sounds better. I didn't have an intro because the intro isn't at the 4K like the camera is. And if this is how we want to continue to do this, let me know. With that being said, everyone, I hope that you will be well, that you will be blessed. And whatever you do, please, please, please keep pushing forward. Keep pushing. I'll see you soon.